up? Richie here with your previews for Thursday. We'll have like 3 different videos. This will be the Thursday one. So the first game on Thursday night, UCLA and Cincinnati. You got 19 returning starters for UCLA. You got running back Joshua Kelly, who ran for 1,243 yards. Quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson coming back there. Against Cincinnati, who won 11 games last year. Desmond Ridder at quarterback. He had 20 touchdowns and 5 picks. They got Michael Warren, 1,329 rushing yards and 19 rushing touchdowns. They had the number 23 scoring offense, 15 rushing, 23 total. They're 9th in the nation in scoring defense, 13 rushing, 26 in passing, 11th in total. This will be a pretty even game, I think. UCLA, though, I think it will be much improved, so I'm going to go UCLA with that. Next game, Wagner, UConn. UConn lost one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the country, even though they were a terrible team. But they do have running back Kevin Mensah back, who hit 1,000 yards. They have a really good safety, Tyler Coyle, back there. So I'm going to throw some stats at you. Tyler Coyle had 107 tackles and a tackle for loss. So I'm going to go UConn with that one. I'm all over the place here. I got some stats and all this. I got a magazine. I got this stuff. Albany, Central Michigan. Central Michigan got a brand new head coach, Jim McElwain, who is a pretty good offensive coordinator. He was head coach of the Gators in Colorado State. They got a Tennessee/Houston transfer, Quentin Dormady. They had the number 4 pass defense in the country last year. I'll go Central Michigan here in that one. This game is Morgan State and Bowling Green. Bowling Green. They have a new head coach in Scott Loeffler. Their quarterbacks, Jared Dagey, transferred out. They got a Boston College quarterback, Matt McDonald, in. And Scott Loeffler was the offensive coordinator at BC the last couple of years. So you know that one. So I'll go Bowling Green in this. Robert Morris in Buffalo. Buffalo, they lost their quarterback, their top 2 receivers, and 1 graduate, 1 transferred to Miami. But they have maybe they're running one of the best running back duos in the MAC conference with Jarrett Patterson had over 1,000 yards and Kevin Marks. So I'm going to go with Buffalo in that. Florida A&M and UCF. UCF ranked number 17. Mackenzie Milton's out at quarterback. He's out for the year. He got hurt. The backup, DJ Mack, he's out for part of the season. So you got Brandon Wimbush, who's a transfer in from Notre Dame. I don't expect their offense to really miss much of a beat. So they'll come in. They got Greg McCray back. At running back had 1,100 yards. Richie Grant, safety, had over 100 tackles and 6 interceptions. So I think UCF wins big in that. Central Arkansas is coming against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky was terrible last year, but they have a new head coach who was their offensive coordinator back in a couple years ago in 2014, 2015. In 2015, they actually averaged 44 points a game. They're one of the top offenses in the country there. They got a transfer quarterback, Ty Story from Arkansas. So I expect Western Kentucky to improve and at least win this one. Gardner-Webb against Charlotte. Charlotte, they have a good running back in Benny LeMay, had over 1,000 yards. They have a quarterback in Brett Keane that transferred in, and they got a pretty good quarterback, Chris Reynolds, coming back. They're pretty deep at quarterback. They have a kicker, Jonathan Cruz, who was 17-22, which is important because they went 5-7, just missed out on a bowl game, and they need all the scoring that they can get, and having a pretty good kicker, it might be the difference between a winning season and a bowl season. So I'll go Charlotte there. All right, an ACC matchup looks interesting on paper. Clemson, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has a new coach. They're starting over triple option. Not anymore. Like, they don't have the triple option anymore. They're starting over on offense. And they only have like 9 returning starters, whereas Clemson has quarterback Trevor Lawrence, running back Travis Etienne, wide receiver Justin Ross, and T. Higgins. One of the best offenses maybe ever coming back. Number 1 team, I'll go Clemson here. Florida International, Tulane. This will be a pretty interesting game. Florida International won, I think, 9 games last year. They're a favorite in the CUSA. They won their bowl. Tulane actually made a bowl, won it last year, went 6-6, and they won their bowl. Both really good. FAU has quarterback James Morgan, linebacker Sage Lewis to go after there. Tulane, running back Darius Bradwell had 1,000 yards. Quarterback Justin McMillan, who started part of last season. He's still there. He was a transfer from LSU. They have a transfer quarterback from Southern Miss, Keon Howard, so they have a pretty deep quarterback situation. And wide receiver Darnell Mooney just missed out on 1,000 yards this year. He had 993. This will be a really close game. I'm edging FIU, I think here, but that'll be a really interesting game. Texas State and Texas A&M. Texas State was terrible last year. They have a new coach in Jake Spavital, who was at West Virginia as the offensive coordinator, and A&M back with someone. He knows how to get an offense going. I expect their offense to be much improved. However, I think they have some really good linebackers. And so they have a transfer quarterback, Case Jensen, who played at Montana a couple years ago. And in 2017, he was a freshman All-American there when head coach Bob Stitt was there. Now that head coach is now the offensive coordinator at Texas State. So I think they will be much improved. But they're taking on Texas A&M. Texas A&M is losing one of the best running backs in the country in Trayvon Williams, but they have quarterback Kellen Mond back. They have a really good team back, possible SEC dark horse kind of team. I'll go A&M that one. South Dakota State taking on Minnesota. Minnesota has 16 returning starters. They have a running back in Mohamed Ibrahim, who ran for 1,000 yards. And they have two other running backs in Rodney Smith, who in 2016 season ran for 1,100 yards. And then Shannon Brooks has run for like 800 and 700 yards these last couple years. So basically, they have 2 1,000-yard rushers and an almost 1,000-yard rusher. They have maybe one of the top running back cores in the Big Ten for sure, maybe the country, just for the depth and experience in the production. And they have one of the best wide receivers in the country in Tyler Johnson. They have kind of a 2-quarterback situation, Tanner Morgan and Zach Anexted. But either way, they have a pretty solid team. They could win the Big Ten West, so I'm going to go Minnesota with this. Then you got Kent State and Arizona State. Kent State has 15 returning starters, 9 on offense. Auburn quarterback Woody Barrett, he started last year, was pretty good for them. They weren't a very good team, but they might flirt with the bowl game maybe this year. They have a really good kicker, Matthew Trickett, 14 of 17, which they need all the points they can get. Arizona State actually made a bowl under first-year head coach Herm Edwards, first-year college head coach Herm Edwards, former NFL head coach. They're losing their running back, Manny Wilkins. They're losing their quarterback, Manny Wilkins, but they have one of the best running backs in the country. Benjamin coming back had over like 1,600 yards or something like that. Here, let me look at just to be sure. Yeah, ran for 1,642 yards and 16 touchdowns. But they are losing wide receiver and N'Keal Harry to the draft, but Arizona State should win that one. You got Northern Colorado, San Jose State. San Jose State's freaking terrible. They have a decent quarterback in Josh Love. He had like 14 touchdowns and 9 picks. But they lost one of their best players, Dakari Monroe, who is a safety corner defensive back. He had 19 total passes defensed last season. He had like 15 pass breakups and 4 interceptions, something like that. But they have linebackers Ethan Aguayo and Jesse Osuna back, and I'll read some of their stats just so y'all know a little bit. So let's see, page 255. So you got Ethan Aguayo had 106 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, 1 interception, 2 quarterback carries. Then Jesse Osuna had 93 tackles, 2 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, 2 interceptions, and 4 quarterback hurries. But San Jose State should win, but that might be their only win all season. The last game, actually I skipped a game. It's Alabama State and UAB. UAB lost a lot of starters, but they have one of the best running backs in the maybe group of 5 in Spencer Brown, their quarterback. They lost their starting quarterback, but their quarterback coming back, the starting quarterback actually got hurt towards the end of last season, and a freshman came in at quarterback and did really well, led them to the CSA championship, and won their bowl game. They usually have a really good defense. They might not win 11 games like last year, but they should at least make a bowl. So I think UAB wins this one. All right, then the final game on Friday night, you got the Holy War, Utah and BYU. This should be interesting. Utah, our Pac-12 favorite. Let me throw you some stats here. They got Zach Moss returning, and Zach Moss, he only started 9 games. He got hurt, but in those 9 starts, he ran for 1,096 yards and 11 touchdowns. Quarterback Tyler Huntley, he also got hurt partway through last year, but he had 12 touchdowns, 6 picks, and Jason Shelley came in and did pretty well for them. So they're pretty deep there. They have a really good defense in it. Bradley Anae had 8 sacks. They normally have one of the top defenses in the country. They were last year 17th in scoring defense, 5th in rushing defense, and 14th in total defense. They are losing their rate. Now, Utah is usually really, really good in their special teams. They had a kicker last year who won the 2017 Groza Award for kicker. And they lost their punter, Mitch Wisnowski, who won the 2016 Ray Guy Award winner for punter. So they lost all that. They should be pretty good. Kyle Whittingham knows how to coach up a team and coach up a special teams. So they're a favorite in Pac-12, and they're taking on BYU. Quarterback Zach Wilson in the bowl last year as a freshman, he was perfect, 18 for 18 with 4 touchdown passes, and they won. They have 17 returning starters. They're actually the number 24 scoring defense last year, 27th rushing, 29th in passing, and 18th in total defense. They got 7 starters on offense and 7 on defense back. This should be a pretty good game. I think it'll be pretty close. I'll give the edge to Utah, but that'll be a good one. All right, so those the Thursday games. Check out my other videos for the Friday and Saturday and everything else. Peace.